In the dawn of a clear spring morning, the city of Thebes awoke with a sense of regal splendor as its queen, Niobe, stood proudly on the palace balcony. Drenched in the warm gold of the rising sun, her gaze swept over the vast cityscape that lay before her, a domain that thrived under her reign. As the Queen of Thebes, Niobe's presence was both commanding and serene, a figure revered by her subjects. She held herself with the dignity befitting her royal status, renowned not only for her lineage, but also for the prosperous rule she shared with her husband, King Ambience. Thebes had blossomed under their leadership, a testament to the legacy she cherished deeply. More than her royal duties, however, it was Niobe's abundance of children that filled her with the greatest pride. Mother to a procession of 14 beautiful children, 7 sons and 7 daughters, Niobe often reveled in the vibrancy of her lineage, seeing it as a reflection of her divine favor. Her children were the jewels of Thebes, embodiments of youthful vigor and beauty, each one a reflection of the life and success that Niobe had cultivated. The corridors of the palace echoed with her frequent assertions of this fecundity, her voice a melody of confidence as she spoke of her children's unmatched talents and virtues. In her heart, a deep-seated conviction grew that she was untouchable, a sovereign fortified by her progeny and by the gods' favor, as she believed. So great was her pride that she often found herself comparing her fortune to that of Leto, the mother of merely 2 children, Apollo and Artemis, the divine twins adored by the pantheon and mortals alike. Niobe, convinced of her superiority, wondered at the disparity between the celestial mother and herself. How could Leto, with her mere 2 offspring, command such reverence and honor from the heavens and the earth alike? Thus, her musings often turned to comparisons, which the people of Thebes overheard with quiet unease. These thoughts, though rarely spoken aloud beyond the palace gates, cast a shadow of tension throughout the thriving city. Ambience, ever the supportive king, listened to his wife's boasts with a mix of pride and trepidation. As a compassionate and cautious ruler, he understood the fine line between pride and hubris. He witnessed his wife's growing confidence, though beneath his regal poise lay a subtle worry that her pride might do more than cultivate admiration. It could invite the ire of those they revered. The citizens of Thebes, too, while they adored their queen, whispered among themselves about the perils of such a visible pride, the melody of their admiration tinged with an undercurrent of concern. Despite the splendor of prosperity that Niobe's rule had brought to Thebes, there lingered an unspoken tension, a pressure that seemed to mount with each passing day. The comparative discussions Niobe indulged in bore silently at the inhabitants' hearts, as the weight of her words seemed heavier than ever before. Thebes was, after all, a city where divine and mortal realms walked closely together, and such audacious boasts did not go unnoticed by the deities who dwelled just beyond mortal comprehension. Amidst the warmth of a new dawn that cast the city's bricks in hues of soft pink and amber glow, the seeds of an inevitable confrontation were sown. Niobe's prideful heart beat with the rhythm of a queen certain of her untouchability, blissfully unaware that her comparisons with Leto, her unchecked pride, were drawing the attention of divine eyes. Thus, in this silent and serene spring morning, tensions brewed beneath the surface, a calm before the storm that would test Niobe's convictions and redefine her place amid gods and mortals alike. As she turned away from the balcony to tend to the matters of the day, unseen forces began to coalesce, attracted by the brazen echoes of her pride, setting the stage for a fateful tale of hubris and divine retribution. In the fertile lands of Thebes, as spring ushered a gentle warmth over the city, Queen Niobe stood atop her palace, her gaze cast over the vibrant domain she ruled. Emboldened by her stature and surrounded by her 14 children, she felt an overwhelming sense of pride, a dignity that, in her eyes, surpassed all others. It was not merely the vastness of her progeny that fueled her vanity, but the belief that she was unmatched, even by the divine lineage of Leto. In the square, a gathering of Thebans listened as Niobe, adorned in her regal attire, spoke with a confidence that resounded through the air. "Why," she declared, "should the people revere Leto, who is but the mother of two when I am the possessor of a brood so plentiful?" As Niobe's words echoed across Thebes, they carried a weight that none could ignore. Her insistence on her superiority was not a mere boast. It was a challenge. Her proclamation urged the citizens to honor her for her children, for her perceived wealth in motherhood. Poor Leto, cursed with scarcity in her offspring. What comparison could be made against Niobe's abundant lot? The boasting did more than stir admiration in the hearts of some. It set in motion events that would ripple beyond the mortal world. For Niobe's words, like arrows loosed into the sky, found their way beyond the realm of mortals, ascending to the ears of the gods themselves. Far above, on the ethereal mount of Olympus, Leto received the news of Niobe's hubris. While the sky shifted with ominous clouds, her mind was filled with thoughts both profound and conflicted. The sanctity of motherhood was not to be mocked, nor was the divine honor that accompanied her as the mother of Apollo and Artemis. This affront from a mortal queen, proud in her ignorance, reverberated as an insult that stung deeply. Yet, Leto did not act in haste. She pondered the appropriate response, contemplating the potential for redemption, or the inevitability of retribution. After deliberate consideration, Leto's heart leaned towards justice, her resolve steeled by the love for her children. The affront could not go unanswered. Her honor must be restored, not for pride alone but for the divine order that required balance. Thus she turned to her children Apollo and Artemis, renowned among gods and mortals alike for their strength and precision. Leto's call was simple, underscored with the dignity that defined her. A request for her children to restore the balance disrupted by Niobe's pride. The call did not go unheard. Within the serene halls of Olympus, Apollo and Artemis listened to their mother's plea. The duty before them was clear. It was not simply a matter of avenging a slight. It was a testament to the principles governing the divine and mortal worlds. Apollo, known for his calm wisdom, and Artemis, with her unwavering determination, felt the weight of their mother's plight deeply. Together, they prepared to act. Their synchronized understanding of justice brought them an unspoken unity. Meanwhile, within the heart of Thebes, Niobe's arrogance swelled, blind to the dark clouds gathering overhead. She continued to boast of her largesse, each word sharpening the divide between her and the gods. Unaware of the divine attention her provocations had invoked, she believed herself untouchable under the veil of her royal birth and abundant offspring. Yet, as the day wore on, the atmosphere in Thebes began to shift. The people of Thebes, feeling the impending change in the air, grew uneasy. The sky, once clear and bright, began to darken, shadows lengthening ominously across the city. It was as though nature itself responded to Niobe's challenge, the once serene vista now fraught with tension. The signs were subtle at first, whispers in the wind, a gathering chill, but unmistakable for those with knowledge of divine interventions. And so, as the horizon glowed a fiery orange with the setting sun, Thebes awaited the unfolding of destiny. The tension reached a crescendo, the ominous stillness hovering like a specter, foretelling what was to come. Within this charged silence, the presence of Apollo and Artemis loomed, their descent imminent, their purpose resolute. The divine challenge had been met, and now the gods would act. The stage was set for an encounter that would transcend mere mortal understanding, weaving the threads of fate and consequence into the fabric of time. Within the ethereal halls of Olympus, Light filtered through the clouds, casting a serene glow across the landscape. Apollo and Artemis stood with their mother, Leto, each already feeling the weight of the task that lay before them. They had been called upon for a divine purpose, to uphold the honor and balance that Niobe's hubris had wrought out of alignment. Artemis, known for her unmatched skill with the bow, moved with quiet determination. Her fingers brushed over the arrows, each one a silent promise of the justice she was to deliver. She was resolute, aware of the solemnity of her mission, and her focus never wavered. Each arrow carried the weight of divine retribution, a testament to her commitment to uphold the sacred laws ordained by the gods. Beside her, Apollo, radiant and composed, contemplated the gravity of their endeavor. As a god of many aspects, light, prophecy, music, he embodied calm power. Yet it was his just nature that defined him now. He understood the far-reaching consequences of human arrogance clashing with divine authority. His heart remained steady as he looked towards Thebes, ready to restore harmony to what was disrupted through Niobe's indiscretion. As the twilight cast its deep blue hues across the heavens, Apollo and Artemis descended from the heights of Olympus. Their passage was a spectacle of purposeful grace, a testament to the inevitability of divine justice. The skies around them shimmered with an ethereal glow, hues of fiery red and golden, marking their path earthward. This supernatural phenomenon rippled across the heavens, an omen visible to all who dared to ignore the signs. The denizens of Thebes felt an inexplicable sense of unease as the otherworldly glow embraced the city. A chill seemed to run through the air, and whispers of something unusual began to stir among the people. Children paused in their games, and elders lifted their eyes to the heavens, sensing deep in their bones the approach of something beyond mortal ken. Thebes itself seemed to anticipate the arrival of the twin deities, as if recognizing the inevitable approach of fate. Within her palace, Niobe stood resolute and unyielding, unfazed by the growing sense of foreboding that enveloped her city. Her pride remained intact, her heart hardened against the warnings whispered of divine retribution. She dismissed the signs that keen eyes noticed, the shift in the air, the unease in her people, as mere superstition. Her belief in her untouchable might, grounded in her lineage and her children, remained unshaken. As Apollo and Artemis drew closer, they began to plan their approach with meticulous care. Their goal was not chaos, but a demonstration of divine order, a reminder to mortals of the boundaries set by the gods. They moved with deliberate calculation, their unity as twins reflected in the harmony of their actions. Both understood that balance must be restored, even if it came at a cost dear to the heart of Thebes. The city lay open beneath their descent, silent, expectant. Apollo and Artemis brought with them not only the might of Olympus, but also the lesson that hubris has far-reaching consequences. As they reached the periphery of Thebes, the inevitable course of the narrative began to take shape, like a script penned long before upon the vast canvas of the world. With poised grace and unwavering resolve, Apollo and Artemis signaled the commencement of their mission, their presence casting a somber presage over the city as the weighty mantle of divine justice began its slow descent onto mortal shoulders. As Apollo stood in the heart of Thebes, his presence both magnificent and daunting, the echoes of his purpose lay heavy in the air. The day was calm, with the sun casting long shadows across the city square, yet beneath this tranquility simmered the tension of impending retribution. Clad in divine serenity, Apollo surveyed Niobe's sons, his gaze both contemplative and resolute. The time had come to restore the honor of his mother, Leto, and to remind mortals of the boundaries set by the divine. His first arrow was chosen with care, aimed at the eldest of Niobe's sons, a youth standing tall amongst his brothers. The release was silent, a whisper of inevitability slicing through the air as the arrow found its mark. With a swiftness that seemed surreal, the life in the young man faded, his body crumpling to the ground in an echo of disbelief. It was a moment suspended in time, where the reality of divine intervention began to seep into the consciousness of Thebians gathered nearby. Panic surged through the crowd, a wave of confusion and fear spreading rapidly as the understanding of a god's wrath took hold. The people recognized the supernatural cause of the tragedy unfolding before them, their voices rising into a cacophony of despair and disbelief. Amongst the chaos, Niobe stood frozen, her mind grappling with the truth she had long denied. Yet even as the implications dawned on her, a kernel of her earlier pride fought against acceptance, struggling to comprehend a reality that challenged her self-perception. Apollo, however, remained unwavering. His calm demeanor belied the grave responsibility he carried as he methodically continued his task. Another arrow swiftly followed, each trajectory as inevitable as the dawn, ordained by the hubris that Niobe herself had sown. Each sun, marked by Apollo's divine justice, fell in succession. It was a procession of fate that left no room for denial, each fall a step deeper into the truth of Niobe's limitations. Amongst the gathering shadows and escalating sense of catastrophe, Niobe's earlier defiance began to crumble. Desperation took root in her soul as she watched the legacy she had so fiercely boasted unravel before her eyes. Her heart, once a fortress of pride, now lay exposed and shattered in the face of an unyielding destiny. The tears that welled in her eyes marked the slow erosion of her former arrogance, as the revelation of her vulnerability grew undeniable. Nearby, Amphion, the stalwart king of Thebes and Niobe's partner in life, shared in the collective helplessness that engulfed the city. Although his love for Niobe was steadfast, he knew that this calamity surpassed mortal means of intervention. As a king and a father, he ached with the impotence of one faced with forces beyond his rule. His presence, though strong and stoic, underscored the tragic nuance of a power imbalance not even his royal title could remedy. In the courtyard that had once echoed with the laughter of children, silence now reigned, broken only by cries of mourning and the weighty stillness that followed each son's demise. Apollo's arrows, embodiments of celestial decree, transformed Thebes from a city of awe into a landscape dotted by sorrow and loss. As the final son succumbed to his fate, the magnitude of the divine demonstration was felt in every corner of the land, forever altering the fabric of Theban memory. With this act of retribution now etched indelibly into the consciousness of the city, Thebes found itself suspended in the liminal space between shock and comprehension. Niobe, amidst the devastation of her family, began to feel the stirrings of what might lie beyond her earthly hubris. The bridge between the past, with its shield of pride, and the present, exposed in its stark vulnerability, formed a path she was now compelled to walk. As Niobe mourned the loss of her sons, the air bore an anticipatory whisper. Artemis's turn to bring closure to this divine intervention. The wild surrounding an impending shift further imbued the city with an atmosphere of both resolution and expectation. Here lay the foundation upon which the next chapter of this timeless saga would unfurl, marked by the lessons of humility and fate. As the sun began its descent over the ancient city of Thebes, casting a soft amber glow over the royal gardens, Artemis stood poised and ready. The gentle rustle of leaves created a serene backdrop, almost masking the gravity of the task before her. Each falling leaf seemed to mark the passing time, counting down to the inevitable retribution that was about to unfold. The gardens, once a place of peace and beauty, were to become the setting for a solemn act of divine justice. With her bow in hand, Artemis moved with graceful determination, her footsteps light and purposeful. Her eyes, sharp and focused, scanned the area with the precision of a huntress well aware of her duty. Each step she took seemed to echo with the silent understanding of what was to come. Niobe's daughters, unaware of the fate that now shadowed them, wandered through the gardens, their laughter a bittersweet melody on the twilight air. They were the living embodiment of Niobe's boastful pride, a pride that had drawn divine attention. Artemis paused, and with a steady hand, she notched an arrow, taking careful aim. Hers was not a task born of malice, but of solemn duty, a completion of the justice her mother, Leto, had invoked. In a moment of stillness, the arrow took flight, silent and swift, disrupting the calm air with its purpose. The first daughter of Niobe fell, her laughter silenced, marking the beginning of this divine hunt. As the nightingale ceased its song in a sudden quiet, the reality struck Niobe's daughters one by one. Each release from Artemis's bow was a testament to her skill and solemnity. The gardens echoed with a rising tide of sorrow that began to drown out any remaining tranquility. One by one the daughters fell, their lives claimed by the justice of the gods, each arrow a fulfillment of the divine mandate imparted to Artemis. Niobe, whose pride had once shouted louder than the winds through the trees, now stood paralyzed by grief. The vision of her legacy crumbling before her eyes was a scene beyond what her proud heart could bear. With each daughter who fell, her own life seemed to darken, matching the deepening twilight of the autumn sky. The weight of her hubris was evident in every tear that overflowed her eyes, cascading down her cheeks, as if trying to carve a new path of emotion into her stoic demeanor. Through it all, Artemis remained a figure of resolute calm. As she completed her task, she lowered her bow with the same grace as she had lifted it. Her expression was not one of triumph, but of gravity. This was not a victory, but the carrying out of a duty, an assertion of divine balance that demanded acknowledgement. Her role was fulfilled in silence, an unspoken reminder of the consequences that run deeply through the weave of mortal arrogance and immortal action. The gardens, now a mausoleum of silent sorrow, witnessed an eerie calm descend over Thebes. As the twilight deepened, the city felt the heavy silence of mourning. It was an elemental quiet, one that spoke of loss and the irreversible passage of time, a silence that taught as profoundly as any words could. Thebes' people, who once basked in the reflected glory of their queen's many offspring, now absorbed the gravity of a lesson wrought by divine hands. As the evening settled into an autumnal embrace, the sorrow of Thebes was profound. Where once pride had bloomed, there now lay a stark reminder of the limits imposed upon mortals, an unyielding boundary enforced by those who dwelt beyond the stars. Niobe's tears began to flow incessantly, unobstructed by the stubbornness that once kept them at bay. Her transformation had begun, a poignant prelude to the lament that would eternally echo from stone. Niobe stood amid the ruins of her hopes, a solitary figure in a garden that echoed her loss. The city, too, reflected back the desolation of its queen, whispering through the darkening streets of a time before hubris led to sorrow. The solemnity of the day's events left Thebes wrapped in a mourning silence, if only to mark the deep and heavy knowledge imparted by the gods, that the universe was vast and ancient, and no mortal. Life was above its ever-turning wheel. As the last echoes of Artemis's arrows vanished into the evening air, Thebes was left shrouded in an unearthly silence. The gardens, once vibrant with the laughter of Niobe's children, stood as solemn witnesses to the divine retribution. Niobe, who had once stood so proudly, found herself surrounded by the unimaginable devastation of losing what she held dearest. The grief was overwhelming, an all-consuming shadow that now clung to her like a second skin. Before her lay the remains of her legacy, and with it her once unyielding pride began to crumble. Amphion, Niobe's husband and king of Thebes, shared the sorrow yet felt powerless to alleviate it. He had watched in agony as the wrath of the divine played out before his very eyes, yet could offer his wife no solace. His heart, filled with its own burden of loss, could only echo hers, his stoic manner pierced by the futility of resistance against forces greater than himself. The mighty halls of their palace, once filled with the echoes of a bustling life, now stood silent, offering no reprieve from the anguish that filled their walls. Throughout Thebes, lamentations rose as its citizens joined in the mourning of their bereaved queen. The city's prosperity, built on the foundation of Niobe's and Amphion's rule, now seemed a hollow achievement amidst the omnipresent grief. Street corners and market squares, where the tale of Niobe's pride and its dire consequences spread like wildfire, were filled with mournful voices. The vision of a noble family, reduced to sorrowful memories, captured the hearts and minds of all who bore witness. Caught in her unbearable solitude, Niobe wandered the dim corridors of the palace, each shadow reminding her of what had been lost. Her heart ached with memories that refused to fade, images of her children smiling and laughing now haunting her every moment. There seemed no escape from the overwhelming despair, as it seeped into the very walls around her. It was as if the palace itself absorbed the sorrow, darkening with each step Niobe took within its confines. The gods observed her descent, noting the profound transformation from pride to despair. For in Niobe, they saw the essential truths reflected, known to gods and mortals alike. Hubris inevitably draws the gaze of the divine. Now, all that had been imbued with her pride became reminders of her frailty. The watchful eyes of those above considered the sadness that had enveloped her being, as fate demanded acknowledgement through the reflection of her tears. With every tear Niobe shed, her sorrow etched itself deeper into her being, weaving itself into the tapestry of her soul. Each droplet bore the weight of her tragic tale, a constant flow of grief that, even unwittingly, began her metamorphosis. Subdued by an internal gravity, Niobe became rooted to the earth in ways beyond comprehension, a heart shattered into countless fragments, slowly hardening with the permanence of stone. Her transformation commenced quietly, unnoticed by those encapsulated within their own grief. Niobe's skin started to harden with the permanence and strength of granite, losing the warmth of life but capturing forever the essence of her desolation. Her once vibrant visage faded, leaving only the imprint of sorrow, an eternal testament to the divine justice she had unwittingly invoked. In that gradual transition, sorrow's physical form took shape within her. As dusk fell and shadows lengthened, Niobe's journey toward an eternal monument of despair and humility continued. Her relentless tears, symbolic of her undying grief, marked the first steps toward a fate carved in stone. The palace, where tales of glory and joy had once unfolded, now embraced the inevitable stillness of loss. Embodied as a symbol of tragic pride, Niobe's transformation signaled a silent yet powerful lesson left to echo through the ages. In this moment of profound sorrow, Thebes stood still, acknowledging the fragility of mortal ambition and the price of challenging the divine. As Niobe's physical form began to mirror the graveness of her heart, the inevitability of her fate became all too clear. Her cries fading into the night signaled not an end but a continuation, the dawn of a profound transformation, both within her and for those who remained to recount her tale. In the silent halls of Thebes' royal chambers, night brought with it a stillness that only accentuated the grief enveloping Niobe. Her heart, once full with the pride of motherhood, now resided in the depths of inconsolable sorrow. Each tear that traced her cheek bore the weight of an immeasurable loss, heavy with the memories of her children. These tears, spilling uncontrollably, became the embodiment of her eternal lament, marking the beginning of a profound transformation. As the candlelight flickered gently against the stone walls, Niobe found herself growing distant from the world around her. Lost in the vivid recollections of her children's laughter and innocence, her form began to manifest the grief that consumed her. Her very essence, worn thin by the weight of her tears, began its gradual departure from humanity. The process of hardening was slow and imperceptible at first, weaving a tapestry of fate across her now rigid form. The transformation spread through Niobe's body, like an unseen force, shifting her from the vibrant queen she once was to someone rooted in the past. The physical world dimmed in her focus, replaced by the unwavering cycle of her memories. With each passing moment, Niobe grew more numb to her surroundings, a testament to the unyielding power of her fate. Her transformation was a symbol, an eternal embodiment of her boundless sorrow, slowly morphing flesh into something that would stand as a warning for ages. Amidst this change, her posture, once proud and regal, stiffened as stone quietly claimed it. Her face, however, retained its human sorrow, a mask of grief unshaken by time. It was etched with the eternal anguish of a mother's heart, a silent echo of love and loss, reaching out through every pore. Though her stance was rigid, the emotion remained vibrant, an unyielding testament to her undying affection for children now absent from the world. Amphion, her loyal husband, remained at her side, a silent witness to her gradual metamorphosis. The king, who once found strength in her pride, now endured the pain of her transformation with a heart as sorrowful as his queen's. He stood vigil, a noble guardian unable to alter the heavy tide of destiny that swept over them. His presence served as a testament to love sustained even in the face of insurmountable grief, a quiet companion to the queen's mournful passage into stone. In Thebes, the change in their beloved queen did not go unnoticed. The people, once subjects of Niobe's pride, now observed with heavy hearts the unrecognizable transformation of their ruler. Her radiant spirit, once a guiding star, seemed to dim before their eyes. It became evident that the vibrant life she had brought into their world was succumbing to a greater cosmic design. The city stood hushed, watching solemnly as their queen journeyed into a realm that bridged the mortal and the eternal. As the night deepened, the transformation progressed. Niobe's skin, now a texture of stone, began to shimmer in the candlelight, silver gray and soft with the shadows of the night. The room, once echoing with her children's footsteps, now fell into silence, save for the gentle dance of candlelight reflecting on her transforming body. Her transformation was no mere whim of fate. It was a story told in hushed breaths and quiet observations, a testament to the power of the gods mingling with the pride of man. The process continued unabated, spreading ever further, until Niobe seemed more a part of the stone chamber than the vibrant personality she once embodied. Her expression, eternally sorrowful, captured by the stone, became the visage Thebans would remember, a visage of lamentation that remained, even in the cooling embrace of marble. As her transformation approached its fulfillment, the city bore witness to a transformation that was as much theirs as it was Niobe's, a shift in understanding the relationship between deity and as humanity, a cautionary tale enduring across time. Her gradual metamorphosis into stone was a silent yet potent reminder of the nature of pride and the divine order resting just outside the human gaze. The night wore on, and the city's quietude echoed Niobe's solemn passage into immortality. Her form, now hardened, bore stories of love, pride, and an irrevocable fate. A tale that reached beyond Thebes into the hearts of those who would hear and remember. At this juncture, Niobe stood almost entirely cast in stone, a testament as solid as the story itself, waiting only for the final trappings of human memory to bid farewell to the transience of flesh. Niobe's transformation was nearly complete, her presence within Thebes altering from one of vibrant life to a monument of eternal sorrow, gently bridging the world of the living with the timeless. Echoes of myth. In the courtyard of Thebes, the morning sun cast a pale glow over the scene, illuminating the stark reality of Niobe's transformation. The ethereal shift from flesh to stone continued to envelop her, a queen now caught between the worlds of the living and the unyielding. Her form became ever more solid with each tear that fell, crystallizing her grief into trails across her cheeks, now forever frozen in an expression of lament. Amphion, ever the devoted husband, stood steadfastly by her side, his heart aching with a sorrow too deep for words. His gaze remained fixed upon Niobe, a queen whose pride had once lit the city, now encased in granite silence. The attendants, too, gathered around the royal couple, their whispers of disbelief and sorrow merging into a murmured lament for the past and a hesitant acknowledgement of what Niobe had become. The people of Thebes, drawn to the courtyard by whispers of divine transformation, began to gather. They stood in clusters, their faces a tapestry of emotions ranging from disbelief to profound sadness. Children who had once played in the palace shadows now looked up with wide eyes, unsure of what their future held without the vibrant presence of their queen. Mothers held them close, their hearts heavy with the realization that Niobe's fate was a stern reminder of mortal limits in the face of divine laws. As the transformation neared completion, each passing moment encapsulated Niobe's unending grief and the tragic pride that had led her here. Her expressions, etched permanently into the stone, bore witness to her inner turmoil, a symbol to all who would look upon her and ponder the cost of hubris. Her heart, though sealed within a stone tomb, was said by the elders of Thebes to continue its lament through the ages, an eternal echo of her sorrow and regret. Among the people, hushed conversations floated through the cold air, reminiscing about the queen who once walked among them with regal grace. In their memories, Niobe remained the vibrant ruler who had sparred with the divine, her human pride clashing with the celestial until it was no more. Her legacy, now a cautionary tale, began to spread beyond Thebes, carried by those who witnessed the monument she had become. The once vibrant woman, reduced to a stone sentinel in the courtyard, became a symbol of unending grief, an ever-present reminder of the tragic consequences of unchecked pride. As the days passed, travelers from distant lands would come to see the Stone Queen, their hearts filled with both sorrow and wonder at the life halted midway by the hands of fate. With Niobe's metamorphosis now complete, her story lingered in the hearts of the Thebans as a profound lesson in humility. The implications of her fate, woven seamlessly into the fabric of Theban life, served as a sobering reflection on the interplay between mortal desires and celestial decrees. Her transformation into stone was not just the end of her tale, but a marker for the community, an ever-present testament to the boundaries set by the gods and the price of crossing them. In the silent embrace of the courtyard, Niobe's statue stood as the city's silent witness, casting its somber shadow over Thebes. As night fell and the moon rose high, the silver light bathed her unmoving form, casting an ethereal glow over her eyes, forever open in a gaze of eternal reflection. The palace and its inhabitants would carry forth her legacy, a tale shared across generations and kingdoms, a narrative of caution that transcended the boundaries of time and place. In contemplating Niobe's fate, the people pondered the whispered tales carried on the winds of Thebes. Her story was one of tragic pride, sorrow, and an immutable transformation. Thus, the city continued, its people moving forward with a deeper understanding of their cosmic place, wrapped in the eternal lesson of the Stone Queen. As dawn broke over the solemn city of Thebes, the once vibrant streets now lay quiet under a reflective sky. Niobe, once the proud queen, now stood eternally in the palace courtyard as a statue of cold stone. Her metamorphosis into an eternal monument had captured the city's collective grief and etched her pride, folly, and sorrow in time. Visitors paused before the stone figure, contemplating the price of hubris that had befallen their queen. The people of Thebes understood that Niobe, despite her tragic fall, remained a part of their everyday world, embodying a cautionary tale that echoed through their lives. The transformation of Niobe created a new reality for Thebes, with her statue serving as a constant reminder of the god's will and the importance of humility. Amphion continued to rule, his reign now marked by a somber understanding of the limits imposed by divine power. His leadership was underscored by a deep-seated respect for the forces that had once been perceived as distant and indifferent. Amphion's perspective had changed, turning from pride in his queen's accomplishments to a realization of the balance between human ambition and celestial oversight. The once bustling play area where Niobe's daughters had laughed and delighted was now eerily silent, a stark embodiment of Niobe's absence. The space that echoed with youthful joy now whispered of the past, reminding those who walked by of the irreversible path taken by their former queen. No laughter adorned the gardens. Instead, the somber breeze carried reflections of what had been lost in the wake of divine retribution. Parents who strolled by with their children would stop, whispering the tale as a warning against unchecked pride. Throughout Thebes, reminders of Niobe's life filled the city, subtler yet more powerful in their lessons than any spoken word. They became living sermons in humility, offering a forewarning to all who dared challenge the divine order. The monuments, once built to celebrate a lineage believed invincible, now served as stark reminders of the impermanence and fragility inherent in human existence. Niobe's tale spread from household to household, a narrative woven into the cultural memory of Thebes with lessons not soon forgotten. As time passed, travelers from distant lands came to witness the tale captured in stone. They came with curiosity and reverence, drawn to the story embodied by Niobe's statue. Each visitor left with a renewed understanding of the delicate balance required between mortal life and celestial mandates. The myth of Niobe was retold in stories that reached far beyond the city walls, impressing upon hearts the notion of hubris's ruinous potential. The roles of Apollo and Artemis resonated within these tales, seen as inevitable executors of divine justice. Their actions were recalled with an appreciation for the power and authority wielded by the gods. Mortals, in their retellings, acknowledged the necessity of these actions, though tragic, as reaffirmations of the divine order. Through these retellings, the figures of the god and goddess transformed from distant entities to personal reminders of life's intricate web, stretching beyond the boundaries of human ambition. Acknowledging Niobe's transformation led the people of Thebes to a deeper awareness of the world's profound balance, where mortal pride and divine authority coexisted. The city accepted the immutable nature of the tale, embracing it as a guidepost on which to model future actions. They knew that each choice held the potential to shift the delicate equilibrium, and that wisdom lay in honoring that knowledge. Quiet now surrounded Thebes, but within its silence lived a renewed consciousness. Niobe's fate stood as an eternal testament to the lessons of humility and the enduring power of myth. Her story became more than a recounting of past events. It evolved into a living lesson charting safe passage through the waters of life. As Thebes moved forward, its lessons nestled in the stone heart of the one who fell too far. Each person who passed Niobe's monument faced her silent reminder, etched in stone, of the consequences of human frailty and the solace found in humble acceptance. Amid these contemplations, life continued in Thebes. The quiet now enveloped the city as a steady undercurrent, flowing through its streets in whispers, nurturing growth without pride's shadow. Niobe's story served as a beacon, guiding its people toward futures shaped by knowledge and acceptance of their limits and the divine rights of the gods. At the base of Niobe's statue, a profound silence enveloped the gathered crowd. They looked upon the once vibrant queen, now fixed forever in stone, her legacy etched into the very fabric of Theban history. As the winter afternoon light bathed the statue in a soft silver glow, it cast shadows that flickered over the ground, resembling the tears that had once flowed freely from her eyes. The image of Niobe, eternally grieving, stood as a monumental lesson in the consequences of unchecked pride and the immutable boundaries set by divine decree. The story of Niobe began with her pride, a quality that led her to challenge the gods themselves. She had been a mother of great renown, with numerous children gracing her life. A point of pride she proclaimed as a measure of her superiority over Leto, who bore only 2. Yet, in her arrogance, Niobe failed to recognize the sanctity of divinity and the reverence such forces demanded. Her downfall was not a simple story of hubris. It was a tale interwoven with themes of maternal pride, where the abundance of her offspring became both her boast and her curse. Within the narrative of Niobe's transformation lies the notion of divine retribution, a recurring theme in Greek mythology. The gods, embodying justice and order, responded to her insolence with a vengeance that was as swift as it was final. When Apollo and Artemis descended to fulfill their mother Leto's request for justice, their arrows were as inevitable as the setting sun. The people of Thebes witnessed firsthand the formidable power of divine beings, and in so doing, they were reminded of the limits imposed upon mortals. The stark consequence of surpassing these bounds was etched not only in Niobe's fate, but in the consciousness of all who would dare to defy them. Niobe's transformation into stone serves as an eternal marker of the fragility of human pride. Where once her boastfulness rang through the halls of Thebes, now stood only silent contemplation. Her endless tears, falling like rivers across her stony visage, became a symbol of her ceaseless sorrow. A sorrow that now belonged to the ages. Each droplet of stone bore witness to the enduring regret of a heart that had challenged the heavens, transforming into an icon of her inescapable lament. As time passed, these stone tears gently taught each succeeding generation the monumental cost of hubris. Amphion, Niobe's husband, continued his reign over Thebes with a newfound solemnity. He approached his rule with a wisdom forged in the fires of personal tragedy. The king was a living tale of resilience, standing against the backdrop of his wife's eternal sorrow. This resilience was not born from defiance, but from a quiet understanding of the balance between human desire and divine will. For Amphion, the story of Niobe was not merely one of loss, but a lesson in enduring the undying echoes of divine justice. As generations came and went, Niobe's tale became a cautionary legend, retold across the regions. Her transformation was not merely a punishment, but a visual and enduring lesson for future generations. Children grew up under the shadow of her story, understanding the delicate interplay between pride and the divine. Her once joyful household, a place of laughter and games, was now silent, save for the faint rustle of memories held by the wind. Her story served as a perpetual reminder that excessive pride could reduce even the most vibrant life to a monument of caution. The myth of Niobe transcended its origin, becoming a narrative thread woven into the broader tapestry of human vices and vulnerabilities. It illustrated the timeless struggle between mortal ambition and the boundaries of the divine. Through myths like hers, ancient societies explored the dualities of human nature. Love corrupted by pride, power overshadowed by humility, and life touched by the divine. In the telling and retelling of Niobe's fate, people found both warning and wisdom, a guiding star through the complex constellation of human existence. As the people of Thebes and visitors from afar gathered beneath the overcast sky, They found themselves drawn into reflection, their thoughts echoing like whispers around the base of Niobe's statue. They considered how the pride of a queen led to a universal lesson that would stand the test of time. Her story, solidified in stone, whispered across ages and places, reaching beyond Thebes, an immortal reminder of humility under the vast canopy of the divine. In the quietude of an ancient library, the story of Niobe unfolds through soft whispers of history, stretched across bound scrolls and etched into the spines of time-worn books. Her tale, woven into the tapestry of oral traditions, travels over generations, a poignant reminder of pride's perilous precipice. Bards and storytellers bring life to the myth, passing it from their lips to eager ears, ensuring that Niobe's narrative does not fade into obscurity. It becomes a tale for the ages, linking the past with the ever-present lessons of humility and consequence. As the myth of Niobe travels through the corridors of time, it captures the imaginations of artists, poets, and historians alike. Each finds something uniquely profound within her story, a canvas upon which to project thoughts on pride, hubris, and divinity. Artists encapsulate her tragedy in their works, from the chisels of sculptors to the strokes of a painter's brush. The looming figure of Niobe, forever captured in stone, stands testament to the enduring sorrow and misplaced arrogance that leads to her demise. Poets craft verses that echo the lamentations of her heart, immortalizing her grief in stanzas and sonnets forgone by time and space. Historians capture her place within the annals of history, ensuring her story remains a pivotal marker on the roadmap of mortal folly. The myth's appeal is unyielding, as Niobe symbolizes the profound consequences of hubris, one of humanity's most familiar flaws. Her tale stands as both a warning and a legend, striking a delicate balance between tragedy and timelessness. As such, it is no wonder that the myth undergoes various interpretations and adaptations through centuries, each version a mirror revealing society's evolving values and reflections on divine interactions with mortals. It serves as a catalyst for dialogue, an invitation to explore the depths of human character and the intricate dance between pride and the god's omnipresent gaze. Various adaptations embellish her tale, examining Niobe's unyielding transformation through the prisms of culture and creativity. Each depiction adds layers to the understanding of eternal sorrow and human emotion, illustrating a spectrum from disbelief to desolate acceptance. Artists across time capture her in sculpture, a woman transfixed in a moment of eternal anguish, her visage carved in remote facades and city structures. Each image reflects not just her grief, but the stark reminder of how swiftly fortune's favor can turn, leaving behind monuments of caution and reflection. In literature, the role of Niobe expands beyond her immediate story, imbued with symbolic resonance across cultural memory. Her transformation into stone and the perpetual flow of her tears become metaphors resonant with audiences seeking to comprehend the depths of emotional endurance and hubristic folly. Niobe's story is retold through varied lenses, offering multifaceted perspectives and recalling the divine scorn and relentless justice exerted by gods, Apollo and Artemis. It reinforces the core tenets that once separated the mortal from the divine, constantly questioning the nature of fate and destiny. Through retellings, Niobe's legacy turns into a cultural cornerstone, a constant reminder of the powerful equilibrium existing between humans and the divine, a balance crucial to maintaining sacred boundaries immortalized in Greek myth. By recounting her story as art and lore, humanity continuously reminds itself of its own fragility and vulnerability, the tenuous divide between strength and downfall. The story's repetition, in every medium, whether through visual arts in thick museum catalogs or poetic narration, serves as a universal teaching, a poignant parable of humility. Throughout history, Niobe's transformation resonates as a study in eternal sorrow, echoing the enduring complexities of human emotion and the vast well of empathy shared collectively. Her story remains alive, a narrative both finite and infinite, drawing attention to the need for harmony with the forces that guide lives beyond human understanding. Her tears, now granules of history, emphasize the timeless wisdom embedded in myths as both cautionary tale and legend. Thus, Niobe's narrative transcends its origins, intertwining human experience into a broader, culturally lasting imprint. Her story, infinitely retold and memorialized, reflects the ceaseless human journey to find meaning within the scope of mortality and divine temperament. As dusk settles in the library, shadows play against shelves filled with ancient texts, echoing the eternal presence of Niobe's tale, a fabric woven through time's tapestry, an indelible symbol of humanity's most enduring lessons. As the sun began its descent over the ancient city of Thebes, painting the sky with hues of warm gold, deep orange, and soft purple, the timeless story of Niobe lingered in the air. Her tale, one of pride, loss, and transformation, remained etched in the minds of all who learned of her fate. Even in an era long past, the essence of Niobe's story finds relevance in today's world, a testament to the enduring nature of its lessons. Niobe's journey serves as a reflective mirror for modern society, illustrating the persistent theme of hubris. In ancient times, her tale was a clear warning against the dangers of excessive pride and the potential for divine retribution. Today, as people navigate through their lives, the story of Niobe resonates as a cautionary tale for those who might let pride overshadow humility. The myth encourages a pause for introspection, urging us to evaluate how our actions and desires align with a balanced existence. Thebes, once a vibrant city bustling with the lives and stories of its inhabitants, now stands as a quiet witness to Niobe's transformation into a stone monument. Her metamorphosis from a proud queen to an eternal symbol of grief embodies the pitfalls of pride run amok. In modern times, this tale draws parallels to moments when unchecked ambition leads to downfall, a theme prevalent in many cultures and societies worldwide. It underscores a universal truth, reminding humanity of the fragile boundary between success and arrogance. The timelessness of Niobe's story lies in its ability to engage with cultural heritages and teachings. As one of the myths that has traveled through the corridors of history, it has been preserved not only through oral storytelling, but also through the works of artists, writers, and historians. Each retelling and reinterpretation adds layers of depth, allowing the myth to remain pertinent and influential. Whether through the vivid brushstrokes of a painting or the carefully chosen words of a poem, Niobe's story continues to speak to the human experience. At the heart of the tale lies Niobe's transformation, a poignant reminder of empathy and contemplation. Her tears, which once fell as expressions of profound sorrow, become a symbol of eternal lament, captured forever in the stone that now bears her likeness. As people gaze upon her statue, they are invited into a moment of reflection, considering not only her fate, but also their own tendencies toward pride. This invitation to introspection is what lends the myth its lasting power, bridging the ancient past with the present and future. The closing thoughts on Niobe's legacy extend beyond the bounds of myth. Her story offers timeless wisdom, serving as a guide for understanding both human nature and the divine influence believed to shape destinies. These lessons from the past inform the present, encouraging individuals to seek balance, humility, and understanding amidst life's complexities. As society continues to evolve, Niobe's story remains a steadfast reminder of the delicate dance between humanity and the forces greater than themselves. As the last rays of sunlight cast their glow over Thebes, a gentle realization settles in. The narrative of Niobe is more than just an ancient myth. It is a tapestry woven with themes that transcend time and space. Her story calls to mind the interconnectedness of human experiences, inspiring a quiet acceptance of the lessons it imparts. And so, as the city of Thebes drifts into twilight, Niobe's tale leaves us with an enduring contemplation, a whisper of eternal wisdom carried on the winds of time.